What makes Gen Z so different? That's the podcast. Hi, my name is Siddharth Rajsekar, and I would like to just talk about, the different characteristics of various generations that have passed, and the current generation that is the maximum population in the world is Gen Z. So, what makes them different? What makes them tick? And what are they really looking forward to? So before I get into Gen Z, let's talk about what are the different generations. Okay, and some of you here may not be aware of these different generations. Now, anyone who is born from 1928 till 1945, uh, they are called as a silent generation. Okay, so there's no tag given to them from 1928 to 1945, and that generation, most of them are not on this planet. They have actually moved on. This is anyone who is above 75 years in age, as I'm talking right now. Okay, in 2023, the next generation is the baby boomer generation, the generation where anyone who's born from 1946 till 1964, that means those who are in the age of between 55 all the way till 75. Okay, so if that's your age group you're technically in the baby boomer generation, and this is the generation that really saw the the transitions in the industrial era, and moving from the industrial era to the technology era. So the baby boomer generation are not so tech savvy as the next generation, and the baby boomer generation are the ones that really uh, were brought up in a world where there were still aspects in India like joint families and stuff like that. Okay, then you have Generation X. Okay, Generation X are those who have been born from the year 1965 till 1980. So Generation X are in that age group of between 40 to 55 in that age group. Typically, Generation X are the ones that have kids uh, who are possibly Gen Z, okay, who have teenage kids. And this generation is like the generation just between the industrial era and the technology era. Okay, and then we have the millennial generation, those born between 1981 to 1996. So if you're anywhere between 24 to 39, 40, you are technically a millennial. Okay, a millennial generation. Again, the millennial generation I feel is one of the most blessed generations, and I'll say that for myself because I'm a millennial, because got to see both the worlds. The world where there was no television, a world of black and white TV, a world of where there was only radio, and a world where we used to be playing more outside, more outdoors, and then we saw a complete transition in this exactly, at age in during the teenage years, moving to the technology era. Okay, CDs, DVDs, messenger, social media, and much beyond. Okay, so I feel the millennial generation are kind of, they're fit into a zone where they're able to understand Gen X and baby boomers, and they're also able to understand what goes on in the mind of the Gen Z, which you're going to talk about. Okay, and Gen Z are the ones that are born after the year 1996. Okay, so again, if you're anywhere between under the age of 24, you are Gen Z. Of course, we are talking about between 10 to 24 in that age group, 10 to 13. So anywhere from teens to 24 is that. And of course, those are born after the year, I think after the year 2020 onwards, they've given a different terminology for them. But the whole idea is, the purpose of this podcast is to try to understand what makes this Gen Z so different as compared to other generations, and why it's important to cater to this generation, because they are the ones that are really the maximum population in the world right now, and they are the ones that are emerging uh, in the world. So how do you cater to this Gen Z? So I want to give you an example and a story of one of the people that I've been, one of the mentors I've been associating with. He's a futurist. So he analyzes and gives suggestions to the big companies like the KPMGs, and he does analysis and goes into large organizations and gives them suggestions on how to future proof their organization in the world. So he was sharing with me a very interesting situation where he brought in a group of Gen Zs, and to he brought these Gen Zs to interact with the board of directors of the Four Seasons Hotel in the Middle East. Okay, so the Four Seasons Hotel is one of the most premium, hotel chains in the world, And it was an open conversation that was being facilitated by this futurist. So on one side there were these Gen Z kids sitting on one side. On the other side, we had the baby boomer board of directors making decisions for the future of that company. And when the baby boomers asked the Gen Z, "Would you ever stay in a Four Seasons hotel?" The answer was a big no. They said, "You do Airbnb, you do other things. Why would we want to?" Maybe our grandparents or maybe our parents would do it, but we would not do it. Now, this was a wake up call for the entire board of directors, because the baby boomer and the Gen X board of directors, they were making decisions based on where they were and their era, without understanding that the requirements of Gen Z were completely different. And when they asked them why, Gen Z came up with a few different pointers that I want to share with you. What makes Gen Z different? I'm going to share with you those pointers. So this podcast is very important, because those of you who are not thinking about Gen Z and not catering to their needs, whether you're a business owner or whether you're in the career space, or maybe you already have Gen Z as your own kids, your teenage kids, if you're not able to understand where they are and what they're looking for in their life, it could make a huge impact in your life, and it could make a huge impact in your business. Okay. Now, the first thing is the Gen Z, the foundation of their ethos is very, very different compared to a millennial or a Gen X. Okay. Number one is they are born to technology. So, unlike the millennials, where we were born where there was no technology, there was no mobile phones. Here, these were born to technology. For them, getting technology is super fast. And another attribute of a Gen Z is that they question things. They don't just take things just because you're supposed to do it. They need logic. That makes them different. So, at least, I mean, when I look at my millennial generation, or say the Gen X generation, they would just listen to their parents because their parents, it was a tradition. It is our tradition, follow it, do it. Get married to this person, that's it, they go do it. Okay. Arranged marriages were the most popular thing in those days. So, right from there, now if you look at Gen Z, they are born into technology. They are having a global mindset now because of the access to technology. So it is not about being Indian or being American, being Europe or whatever, because all of them are born into a world that is already connected. So there are cultural traits, no doubts. If you're born into a particular state or a particular country, you have some cultural traits that you acquire from that place, but your thinking is global. The mindset is global. A Gen Z teenager born in a tier 2 city in India with 4G has equal access to information that somebody in a New York City may have. So the global mindset is that they may not be able to communicate, or they may not have access to the kind of resources as compared to somebody in a big city, but they have access to the information and they know what's going on. Then the awareness is being created right now. So Gen Z, they have a global mindset. Gen Z, one of the things that make them different is they are very tech enabled. Okay. They're born with technology, but the ability to use technology, meaning the previous generations were evaluated based on how much of information they can hold in their head. Memorization, schooling system, formal education system, all based on memorization, right? Gen Z, they don't care about memorization, but they're more skilled in navigating through noise and getting to what they want. And I'm seeing this in my own younger generation. I'm a father of two boys, and I can see the elder one. He's able to access information on Google and other places and YouTube much faster than many of us, not because they can memorize things, but because they know how to navigate through technology. So that's what I mean by technologically tactile in their way of operating. Okay, very different from Gen X. Another thing I've observed, what makes Gen Z very different, is they are not seeking job security. They are seeking meaning in their jobs. Okay. The previous gen, the millennial generation, my generation, Gen X, we're all about job security. Get a safe and secure job. Get into an IT company. You know, be there for a long time. Grow up the corporate ladder. Become a CEO. Get all the perks. Gen Z is very different. They don't want just the money part. They're not looking for job security. They're looking to express themselves in new ways because technology is already there. So to get or to recruit Gen Z and in a industrial era thinking is going to be a big blunder that you can do. If you're an organization and you're hiring Gen Z, you got to think like Gen Z. You got to think about what they really want. And another thing about Gen Z, one of their traits is their speed of wanting things. Because they are so used to getting information in their fingertips, one of their traits is impatience, lack of patience. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing about it is, yes, they can burn out if they don't get things that could affect their psychological aspects. But it also pushes them to move and make progress fast because they're not waiting for things. I can confidently say that the Gen Z mindset, most of them are not tuned toward 3 year, 4 year, 5 year degree anymore. They want things fast. They want to learn fast. They want to implement fast, and they want to grow fast. Which is why they're not seeking job security. They are seeking meaning in their work. And one more quality of Gen Z is they respect diversity. Yeah, they respect because born into a global era, global mindset, a connected world, a lot of them are able to respect each other irrespective of their caste, creed, color, religion, background, ethnicity, which country they are from, all of that stuff. Now we are seeing a lot more uh, mixing happening in cultures because of the open mindset of Gen Z. It's not that some of them are not following their traditional cultures, but they are more open to accepting other cultures, and we are seeing this happening even in families. So there's the diversity. The respecting diversity is another quality of a Gen Z, and that's what makes them different. So how do you how do Gen Zs need to be treated for them to achieve success and to bring out their full potential? I'm going to give you three ideas. Number one is, because Gen Zs are different, you got to uh, interact with them with logic. Give them the reason and the meaning why something has to be done. That's the first thing. Second, Gen Zs need to be given the freedom. They've already got the tools now. They need to be given the freedom to express themselves. If you're going to be boxing a Gen Z in a conventional traditional format, they are going to break. So you need to let them express themselves. And number three is, if you want to really bring out the best out of a Gen Z, is to let them be in their creative zone. Okay, so freedom is the freedom to express, but creativity and creative zone is to allow them to experiment and explore different skills, and then they will connect the dots as the world is also changing really fast. Because 5-10 years from now, we do not know where the world is going to go with so much of technological changes. So it is not about picking one degree and one stream and sticking to that for a long period of time. That's old Gen X thinking, industrial era thinking. It's a baby boomer thinking. But Gen Z thinking is all about range and giving them different things to pick up skills on so that they connect the dots and they're able to creatively express themselves. So, this is what makes Gen Z different. I hope you found this podcast useful. And I'm glad that you got to understand this perspective. I would like you to share your notes and, on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, and please tag me if you have any other inputs to share. Also, tag Success Gyan so that they also get notified. And we're able to carry forward this conversation on social media. Thank you, and catch you in the next episode.